Konbanwa minasan. Season 3 is coming, and I thought it would be interesting to do a bit of retrospective of Season 2 and what we got. I won't talk about the story, so no spoilers there, but I will talk about the IDs. I'll also talk about mods and major changes for the game. How about we first start by remembering which IDs and EGOs we got this season? Let's go on a trip down the memory lane, shall we? June 1st, season start. The Battle Pass is released, and with it 2 new EGOs from the Brazen Bull Abnormality. Capote for Mersault and Ishmael. Those 2 focuses on burn, with more or less emphasis on tremor. 2 IDs come out at the same time from a new faction, Zoro Spawners, for Rodion and Mersault, with a focus on tremor, but including a bit of charge in their kit. Rodion's more so than Mersault. Next, June 8th. Spawner gets his last member with Gregor, introducing a new mix of Rupture and Tremor, while we get the first ID to be based on an ego, Sunshower Heathcliff, which is also our second negative sanity ID in a more complex way than Sinclair. His kit also includes quite a bit of both Sinking and Rupture. The second threshold of the BP is unlocked, including AEDD and Sunshower egos, respectively for Heathcliff, which has a mixed version of both damage and survival based on charge, and Otis based on poise with some sinking and rupture inflections. June 15th, last part of the story and BP, with a weighted Sunshower ego for Yisang, and it being a team-wide powerful buff with a huge AoE and SP heal. Gregor also receives his version of AEDD also based on charge, this time with rupture. But with those he's also released Spicebush Yisang, the first Efflorest ego-based ID with Sinking Infliction and the first of using Tremor as an alternate form of charge, as well as the first ID with an AoE skill. Sloshing Ishmael, easy associated 2 stars, and very well eclipsed. 2 weeks later, the last batch of Season 2 IDs is released, with Keiko Ponglu, the newest, bestest, tankest with his ampules, sprinkled with Rupture, and Red Sheet Sinclair, a new pillar for Rupture comps. At the same time, Ryoshu gets 2 new egos, both from Spider-Bud, both support and speed based, with more damage and AoE on the air version. After that, neutral IDs come out. First a Liu ID for Ishmael, anchoring her position in burn comps, and then Hardcore Mersault, a charge ID inflicting bleed is released, with Virodion, a weird poise tank. The week after, Dawn received the first Sank ID, based mainly on clashes and speed control. July 27th, start of the Kanto 4.5 event, giving us the second batch of Season 2 IDs and EGOs, with Molar Boatworks, Ishmael and Sinclair, both taking back the self-tremor infliction for charge. Sinclair's ID also inflicts tremor, and while Ishmael's has a bit of it, she has way more sinking. The Soda ego also makes their appearance, Anglu getting the more heal-based one, while Yorshu gets Sinking Infliction and ego resources gain, I guess. 2 weeks later, 2 new Zvai IDs given to Gregor and Faust, this time with defense level increase to both tank and support. Waiting for 2 more weeks to get 2 W Corp IDs, Ryoshu's and Anglu's, bringing back pure charge, with this time also charge barrier. On September 7th, starts the attendance event to get the last 2 Season 2 IDs, Molar Otis and Yisang, the first 2 instances of discard in the game, with both self-tremor and tremor inflictions, with Otis more damage oriented. And while Tremor receives their main damage dealer, Rupture does 2 with 7 Faust, accompanied by 7 Heathcliff for more infliction. After that, the pace really slows down, with Rodion receiving the first THE ID, based on discard and sinking this time. Then Sinclair gets Lantern, a Nil and Rupture AoE ego, and Heathcliff gets Yasunyata Talrupam, another AoE ego, but with more varied buffs, debuffs, and especially SP healing for his team or himself. October 26th, the start of the first Walpurgisnacht. We can then pull for a Lobotomy ego ID for Faust, recycling the self-tremor and tremor inflection, with a lot of AoE this time, Okonfis Anglu, a speedy bleed ID, and Mersault's ego Regret, becoming a staple for tremor teams. And we conclude this trip with our latest neutral ID, W Corp Sang, a charge ID with high rupture inflection. Let's compile that, alright? We got 26 IDs and 13 egos in total. In the IDs, we got 12 from Season 2, 12 General, and 2 from Valpurgis. Egos got 8 from Season 2, 4 General, and 1 Valpurgis. Faction-wise, we got 4 new Lobotomy egos, 1 Influenced 1, 3 Raw Spawners, 4 Molar with 2 Botworks, 1 from K Corp, 1 R Corp, 3 W Corp, also 3 Zwei, 2 7, 1 Liu, 1 Thank, 1 Diechi, and 1 from Oak Office. Egos were extracted from 6 new or returning Abnos for a total of 8 different Abnos. 2 from the Brazen Bull, 2 from Shock Centipede, 2 Drifting Fox, 2 Spider Bird, 2 Well Cheers, 1 Fae Lantern, 1 My Form Empties, and 1 Forsaken Murderer. 6 of them were Tet, 6 He, and 1 Zain. Let's talk gameplay a bit more. The first you want to hear, 7 IDs in the lot had charge mechanics, and 6 got Self Tremor for a total of half of them. There were also the 2 AEDD egos. That's quite a bit. In the meanwhile, Tremor Inflection or related IDs were at the number of 9, some inflicting less, but some way more, with 4 3 stars. There were also 2 egos and half Article Capote Ishmael, a Tremor ego. Rupture 2 got 9 related IDs, but a lot more dispersed or crucials, with 3 3 stars IDs, and Sunshine clipped somewhat, even if not very efficient. Egos were barely more generous, with Gregor's AEDD, Sinker's Lantern, and Otis Sunshower Corrosion. In comparison, Sinking only got 4 IDs, but all of them were very strong 3 stars. The only egos related were Otis Sunshower and Roshu Soda, so nothing incredible, but Rhyme Shank is enough anyway. Though when you consider that Sinking symbol is like a crying closed eye, one might have expected a bit more. Bleed only got 2 IDs, but both of them are strong. Burn started with 2 egos and then 1 strong ID, but didn't end up getting more. Poise got, let's say, 2 IDs and 1 ego. Other statuses were varied, but there is some more that I want to talk about. As Bind appeared in 4 egos and 2 IDs, not counting Self-Bind, and Aced in 1 ego and 7 IDs, not counting Arc or Muscle too. I could do a lot of other things, like counting the colors of egos and skill 3, I did. But let's stop there. To summarize, Charge got a lot of IDs based on it. Tremor and Rupture were the next winners in terms of numbers, but Sinking, while getting less, got better IDs and tools. Seems like they wanted to give more speed control too, but we're still waiting for better burn support though. But do you know why Sinking got so much stronger? Because this season also brought Uptie 4. So let's talk gameplay mechanics. On July 20th, IDs got Uptie 4 and Egos Thread Spin 4. This gave a small power buff to some already strong IDs and a much needed fix for weaker ones. And that's it. In the end, while the cost was higher than for Uptie 3, Uptie 4 ended up being more of a bug fix than an actually strong upgrade. It can be argued for a while if the goal was to put ID on a closer foot of equality or something else, but depending on the ID, it can be optional or necessary. Egos, on the other end, were mixed. Most of them got some of the newly named attack weight, aka AoE, and some got even more, like Rhymeshank becoming a staple of Sinking, or Yoshu's Force Smash Flame damage potential. Overall, I think that Ego's cost is higher than IDs, but the effects do seem stronger for a lot of them. The problem is that you can play without Egos, but you can't play without IDs. And you don't need resources to play IDs, but you need them for Egos. The difference is fundamental. But enough of Uptie or Thread Spin, because another mechanic got some polish: offense and defense levels. This underexplained mechanic got a revamp at the same time than the previously mentioned Upties. They planned it for the long run this time by balancing those a lot more. It also gave a lot more interest to Resonance, which we might often forget, and avoided us more Inquisitor tragedies. Unfortunately, at the same time, offense and defense level increases and decreases, while still useful, became less efficient, mainly for damage dealing. Most of the time, Fragile will do more than defense level down. We got a few more mechanics changes in the season, as I decided to rework some of the existing EGOs and IDs. Not much, but it happened. The main one though were the base EGOs now costing sanity. After Uptie 4, some IDs were quickly touched, but other things were more like fixes. The last notable mechanics additions were the aggro system for tanks and the attack weight system to regularize AoEs. Season 2 did bring up a few more things, especially new mods. Mirror Dungeon 2 came out shortly after the end of Kanto 4, and with it a revamp of the Mirror Dungeon system, including the rewards. The dailies dungeons were out, and in the weeklies, for a gain of time, in exchange of the dungeons being way longer and harder. The rewards were overall more interesting, notably if you had the battle pass. The wall system was refined with shops, more events, a proper structure, and starter buffs to help for the hard versions that came out 2 weeks later. The hard name was deserved. The buffs granted to enemies were hard. That gave us a new playground that required to find new ways to play, less on speedruns. Talking about speedruns, Railway 2! This came out way later in September, and while promised as a potentially infinite survival, it ended up being a speedrun. At least you had the choice, and the IDs were interesting, with new versions of Abnos putting more in the front their mechanics. Talking about Abnos, we got a lot of new ones this season. With Story and Railway, we can count 10 new abnormalities, plus the ones from Railway 1, now appearing in the Mirror Dungeons. The fights had different mechanics, but a lot of them were underexploited, and a lot of fights ended up being a kill without a need to play around the mechanics, particularly in Story. As a final thing, since August 31st, Project Moon decided to rework their UI, giving us a lot more clarity. For example, the new ego selection in battle is pretty nice, and checking the egos without having to do the whole way in the menus is a blessing. I guess we can even expect a bit more from them on this point. In the end, we did get quite a bit, though the fact that it was spread out over 5 months might make it less clear. Not everything we got was great, but I still enjoyed most of it, and I hope we can expect about as much from the next season. I also hope they can work more in peace this season, now that the controversies ended. It probably did bother the development quite a bit. I don't know how much of it caused the problems we had, like the numerous errors and bugs, since they were there way before, but I'd prefer if they could reduce the numbers for next season. The number of Steam machines, that is. And that concludes this video. I'll be slowing down a lot in the coming weeks. I won't stream or record the story, there will be enough of it anyway. I still have a few ideas for Limbus, so you'll still get new content from me soon enough. Subscribe, everything, yada yada. Anyway, see you next time, enjoy Kanto 5, and keep your sanity high in this slow descent into the inferno.